Lee Cairns football. What do you believe is the most difficult aspect of officiating during a match?
During a football match, I'd say the most difficult aspect is controlling players' emotions and the management emotions as well. From my experience, potentially dealing with players' frustrations over decisions given that most of the time are correct can be challenging, and also encroachment from the line in regards to coaches and managers. We all know football's an emotional game, but that will probably be the most challenging aspect of refereeing.
Do you believe that the crowd can play an influence in your decision making?
Absolutely. I think depends how neutral you can be and you want to be. The crowd can make their feelings known, what they may think of your decisions. Depends how many you play in front of. No, they wouldn't influence me. I just call the game right down the middle. But I think sometimes the players and the management can influence the crowd. So you should be aware of it, but not obviously let it affect you. You just got to call the game as fair as you can.
Do you believe that a player, a team or a manager could affect your decision making or decision making of other officials?
Potentially a player. Potentially, I'd always stick with my decision though. But you've got to see how the game plans out. How often, how many times is a player involved in a decision that maybe a foul like for or a foul against. Managers not a problem. It's just, and even the crowd. It's just maybe some players sometimes. Sometimes players want to concentrate more on the referee than the game its actual self, and then sometimes players generally do feel hard done by, maybe from a little mistake. But then, I'll always try and stick to the decision I make and not really change my mind, but take it on board. So next time it happens, I won't make the same mistake again.
Would you say it depends on the level when it comes to managers affecting decision making? So, for example, Sir Alex Ferguson in his day and now Jose Mourinho they've been seen to influence officials in the past by sometimes criticising them before the game or after the game, which can lead to decisions going in favour of their team in the future.
Yeah, especially higher up, managers, because it's such a big business and results matter. They'll obviously try anyway to get the referee to maybe be aware or try and get them on side before and after games with their comments, because it's so scrutinised and it's out there and media related. I wouldn't say low end like amateur school level, step 7, and you're playing likes of local league, West Cheshire, district football. Managers won't have an influence on any referee's decision. But I think the higher up you go, I think referees come under a bit more pressure from managers and coaches, absolutely.
Okay, so next question is, how long do you take to make a particular decision in a football match?
5 to 10 seconds, really.
Would it depend, do you think, on?
Yeah, kind of. Depending on the type, it might be a tackle, it might be an infringement. Doesn't matter. It's like once you blow your whistle, I think you've got that time whether decision you're going to make. Is it going to be a card? What type of card as well. You need to have that thinking time. You can't be, unless you feel so strongly, that if it's violent conduct and it's going to be a red card, where you decide quickly because you know that you don't want that in the game that you're in charge of. But there's some decisions that you may think, should I give them a warning or should I give them that yellow card? So you do need that thinking time, because sometimes players react well to just being told that that's your first chance. Or sometimes that some players generally do need that yellow card to be warned that actually if you do something like that again, you're going to be removed from the field of play.
Do you believe that there's less pressure involved in your decision making earlier in the game? So say with the first minute, would you be able to make a decision much quicker? Say for example it was the 90th minute and it was a decision that had to be made whether it was a penalty to the team or not. Would you take a longer period of time to make that decision?
I think it would be the same throughout. I think at the start of the game, I think maybe people are too quick to try and influence how the whole game's going to be planned out with their decision. I think you've just got to basically, make your mind up and have that time to make sure you make the correct call. I don't think any time influences a game for me. It influences the result when you think of it towards the end of the game, absolutely, because the time's running out.
Yeah.
But at the start, you know, you want to try and set the tone, whatever type of foul it may be, you know, you've got, or infringements, and if you've got to produce cards or give away penalties, free kicks, you know, you've got to be consistent across the whole game.
Do you believe that the state of the match could affect your decision making? So, say for example, at a school level, a team is losing by a large margin. Would you tend to favour them because you don't really want to be seeing a team get?
Yeah, I know. You know, you want to try and be a bit lenient, I suppose. Not in a cheating way. You know, you don't want to completely favour. You know, you might take your time, a few things, maybe play down the scoring. You know, especially if you're on your own and there's, you know, offsides can come into a bit more play when you know the result's already there and they're winning the game by a high score margin. Because at the end of the day, the young, the learning, you want them to play football again. You know, at the end of the day, when you look at league tables, you're going to have teams at the top and have teams at the bottom. Really, I know the teams at the top do things well, you know, they're well run, managed. It's not saying that the teams at the bottom aren't. You know, you need the teams at the bottom to be joining your league. You don't want them to be the whipping boys every week and give up. But I'm not saying as a referee that you have to try and play out games at amateur level and make them fair and close scoring. That's not at all. But I think, for example, you know, that maybe needs to be looked at, not just from referees, but from leagues and cups. You know, what should be done if, say, a team goes into double digits or something like that, because it's not football, is it? You don't see it in an international or professional game, them type of scores. But you know, there must be something in place to try and protect some teams, because at the end of the day, you've got to give them credit for playing and having a go, but also you don't want to be demoralised at the same time, do you?
No.
But you've got to be as fair as you can. But as I said, like, maybe it might be cutting down a bit of time, be a bit more lenient, since that's how I would. Maybe not favour, but to make sure the game's played out in a way that they can come away, not blame the referee for the defeat, you know what I mean? That they can just look at themselves and what to improve on.
So how would you handle the following scenario? So a young player who's known for having fair play makes a dangerous tackle but wins the ball first, so both feet are off the floor. Would you empathise with him as it was a rare occasion, or would you stick to the rules and send him on?
Well,
because in the past, for example, at high level players like Joey Barton, there's been maybe his reputation has made him receive a lot more red and yellow cards than, say, a player like Frank Lampard.
Because they're more likely to...
so the referee might think that, it was a bad tackle by Joey because of his reputation.
It's hard. You know, sometimes you go by the laws of the game. If someone did that 2-footed, even know if they won the ball or not, we'd never know them to get a yellow card in the whole life, or a red card. You'd have to send them off. It depends on the type of game as well. You know, it might be a card. It'd be definitely a card offence.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't, just because they're squeaky clean or they've got the worst record going, you just have to call it. I think, in a way, as a referee, it's a way that they'll learn, so they know that they get punished from it by the referee's cards and sanctions. But you know, if you're a coach and a manager, it's different, because then you can coach it out of them and bring it out of them that, you know, this is the result of what happened from what you did, and this is what we're going to work on to make sure you don't do things that again. It doesn't matter whether the player reputation, but as a referee, if it's in a law to get a card, then you wouldn't treat them any differently.
So literature has shown that referees award more decisions to home teams in football. Would you say you favour the home team or away team when making an important decision? Or
I try and be more neutral. It's hard because, you know, when I've refereed in the past, I'm not a supporter or know of the teams. You know, I'm just there to referee a game of football. I think it depends, kind of like if the nature of the game, if it's got more supporters and fans, then, you know, potentially maybe then 50-50 decisions go away, potentially could go home game. I can't really say from my experience that I have. I think players more players' attitude. I wouldn't really say if they're playing home or away. I think that, you know, sometimes referee, my tolerance is kind of good, but, you know, if it continues getting worse, then obviously they'll start to find that, you know, you need to lay off the referee and just concentrate on your football, and maybe I start to penalise their team because of certain players.
And just finally, how long have you been a qualified referee?
I've been a referee for 10 years, well, more than 10 years. I qualified when I was 16 years old. So now in my current role, I've not refereed as much as I did, but for 10 years, from 16 to 26, I was refereeing school level, district level, adult level, under 18s level, but nothing major, nothing step 7, you know, not major stadia or anything like that. But
Yeah.
I can presently draw my experiences just from amateur games, youth football.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.